Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 91 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Luo Feng piloted the Void Netherworld pupil ship, not daring to relax in the slightest, and put all his effort into controlling the ship. In Yuan City, there were many flying boat-class secret treasures, but Luo Feng chose the Void Netherworld pupil ship because the secret patterns of this ship were profoundly mysterious and similar to the path of the Eye of Life and Death. The materials for refining this ship were sourced from several types of low-level primordial life from the Void lineage, making the ship incomparably integrated with the Void. With the netherworld eyes of the ship, one can more clearly perceive the structure of the heavens and the Void. Luo Feng piloted the flying boat, agilely navigating through the Void, where ordinary methods could no longer trace its presence. The creator of this flying boat had reached half-primordial level in both life and destruction paths, a realm much higher than the current Luo Feng. Even with all his effort, Luo Feng could only utilize 50 to 60% of this flying boat's capabilities. Sigh. As Luo Feng scouted the surroundings, he spared no effort in hurrying along. We have completely flown out of the Elder hunting area. Luo Feng still did not dare to slacken, worried that the primordial wild hoof leader was still tracking him, so he flew for a long time until he was thoroughly out of the conventional hunting area before he relaxed. Void Netherworld pupil ship, suppress all fluctuations of aura. Even more powerful than my own techniques for concealing life aura. Luo Feng revealed a smile. The primordial wild hoof leader is too powerful, I simply can't fight against it. If it saw through my fake death secret method, this avatar would have completely died there, losing the undying heart and the palm world. Luo Feng thought inwardly. Losing these two treasures would be a too huge loss. Luo Feng was too overconfident. After perfecting the undying blood seed body, even among elders it was considered a formidable secret technique, and with two secret treasures, Luo Feng felt that he had chances of escaping life from a typical Divine Emperor perfection low-level primordial life, which is why he dared to try entering the Elder hunting area, only to encounter the primordial wild hoof leader. Primordial wild hoof leader is not the strongest among low-level primordial life. Luo Feng thought, in Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, there are even more powerful low-level primordial life known as super limit level. Facing a super limit level, I fear not even having a chance to resist and would be wiped out instantly. Sources for super limit level low-level primordial life materials usually come from the Dark Sacred Realm. After all, in the Dark Sacred Realm, super limit levels are common. All sorts of strange, powerful, and even special rare species of low-level primordial life are placed there. They confront the strongest cultivators selected from countless worlds. Nine Rivers Sacred Realm. Divine Emperor perfection level low-level primordial life is very rare, let alone super limit level, that is myth. I thought I was careful enough, but I still underestimated the danger, Luo Feng thought. This time, returning to Yuan City, I must make good use of these spoils of war to comprehensively enhance my strength. Luo Feng then thought and also released Emperor Qing. After coming out, Emperor Qing, seeing Luo Feng, finally relaxed and then laughed. Brother Luo Feng, I was really worried just now, afraid that you were killed by that primordial wild hoof leader. Facing the primordial wild hoof leader, there's simply no way to fight. Luo Feng also shook his head. I can only try every possible method to escape. I barely managed to escape with my life by relying on a life-saving secret technique. But I also suffered great losses. His own body's energy reserve was left with a little more than 20%. All other energy reserves were depleted during the combat and escape processes. Being able to escape is already something to be proud of. Emperor Qing said, according to the intelligence, facing the Divine Emperor perfection level primordial wild hoof leader, only 3 Hall Masters have the strength to confront it head-on. All other elders must flee upon encountering it, and most of them can't even escape. Luo Feng nodded. Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 92 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Elder Qian he has gifted it, so naturally, I accepted it. These 12 invitations, Luo Feng sat in the courtyard, looking at the night scene of Yuan City and slightly furrowed his brows. The other 11 invitations can all be set aside. The key one is the invitation from Yuan Xiong Palace Master. The 3 great palace masters, and only Yuan Xiong Palace Master invited me. Luo Feng was somewhat puzzled. This did not match the intelligence he had. Among the 3 great palace masters, there was no need to mention Master Gai Dao, who focused on artifact refining. The elders around him were all interested in artifact refining. Naturally, he would not take the initiative to invite Luo Feng. But it was quite odd that Wei Yang Palace Master did not send an invitation. Wei Yang Palace Master likes to recruit elders the most. Although he joined Yuan City later, he has won over the most numerous tier of elders in the entire city. He usually invites any newly promoted elders, thought Luo Feng, but he didn't invite me. There are more than 700 beings with the strength of the elder tier in the city, and 327 have passed the test to acquire the status of an elder. It was because Wei Yang Palace Master warmly courted many elder tier beings that he held the strongest influence in the city. It just so happens that I also dislike the way Wei Yang Palace Master conducts his affairs, Luo Feng thought. The forces of theft and plunder all belonged under Wei Yang Palace Master's command. I'll go see Yuan Xiong Palace Master tomorrow. Luo Feng was curious about Yuan Xiong Palace Master, who was after all the founder of Yuan City. As the builder of Yuan City, the cave mansion of Yuan Xiong Palace Master was originally the largest in the city. Later, however, Wei Yang Palace Master took over several mansions to merge into one, forcefully making it much larger than Yuan Xiong Palace Master's mansion. Luo Feng arrived at the main gate of the cave mansion. Luo Feng, Divine Emperor. The main gate was wide open. A slender man stood there, smiling at Luo Feng. The palace master has been waiting for Luo Feng, Divine Emperor. Your Excellency, please follow me. This slender man, dressed in a loose robe, had thick body hair. Thanks to Earth Third General, Luo Feng said politely. Under Yuan Xiong Palace Master, there were 3 puppets, each possessing the power to rival a perfect low-level primordial life. In other words, these 3 puppets, if ranked among Yuan City's divine emperors, all could be placed within the top 50. Worthy of being the one who built Yuan City, profound depth, even servants have such formidable strength, Luo Feng thought. This was much stronger than the foundations of the ancestors from the 2 nations of land of origin. Walking inside this massive mansion, shortly after, in a garden, Luo Feng saw a figure sitting on the ground smiling towards him. Luo Feng, come, take a seat. Although Luo Feng had already obtained information on the other party, this was still the first time he saw Yuan Xiong Palace Master's true appearance. Yuan Xiong Palace Master's appearance was not too handsome, but he naturally carried an endless charm. Luo Feng couldn't help but feel a sense of goodwill upon seeing him. Master, your subordinate will take his leave, said Earth Third General respectfully. Yuan Xiong Palace Master smiled and nodded slightly. Luo Feng then walked over and sat down opposite Yuan Xiong Palace Master. This Yuan Xiong Palace Master's aura is indeed very weak, Luo Feng observed closely, also sensing that even as Yuan Xiong Palace Master sat, there was a faint sense of weariness about him. To feel weary at such a level of cultivation? This was quite incredible. Even Luo Feng could feel that Yuan Xiong Palace Master's life fire was struggling to support him. An old ailment, Yuan Xiong Palace Master personally poured wine for Luo Feng and said with a smile, originally when I went hunting for super limit level low-level primordial life with some friends, having gotten used to hunting, who would have thought one super limit level primordial life would break through, turning into a high-level primordial life. Coming face to face with a high-level primordial life at close range, and I ended up like this, Yuan Xiong Palace Master sighed. No way to resolve the contamination? Luo Feng asked. Yuan Xiong Palace Master looked at Luo Feng with a smile, as recorded in the experiences of the Dark Sacred Realm, only by freeing one spiritual will from the braided cage can one rid oneself of this contamination. This is the only way to get rid of it. Facing high-level primordial life, they were killed on the spot. As a powerhouse of the Source World, with the Avatar in his home Source World sharing memories, it was also contaminated. Clearly, that high-level primordial life had a strong killing intent, wishing to completely eradicate these cultivators. Luckily, Yuan Xiong Palace Master had the Source World's protection and a secret technique to guard his spiritual will, which allowed him to barely save his life. From then on, I could only focus on cultivating my spiritual will. Yuan Xiong Palace Master smiled. Additionally, being too bored, I exchanged merit points and applied to build a city in Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, which is this Yuan city. Luo Feng listened. The battle merit required for building a city was extremely high. Yuan Xiong Palace Master was evidently very powerful originally, having accumulated a lot of battle merit. After being contaminated, during the city building process, the strength he showed was even stronger than that of Wei Yang Palace Master. The reason he ranked second in the city was due to the fact that being contaminated, maintaining his own clarity was already not easy. Naturally, if he could avoid action, he would not act. He had no interest in vying for power or profit. On one hand, there was Yuan Xiong Palace Master, who did not vie for power or profit and hardly ever took action. On the other hand, there was Wei Yang Palace Master, who recruited various strong beings and often took action. Wei Yang Palace Master's influence was naturally stronger. I've heard that Yuan Xiong Palace Master rarely invites divine emperors, Luo Feng said. Why did the Palace Master invite me this time? You are different. Yuan Xiong Palace Master looked at Luo Feng. Yesterday, after you defeated Elder Qian He, I inquired about you with two divine emperors from Land of Origin in the Dark Sacred Realm. Luo Feng was startled. He inquired in the Dark Sacred Realm about the two divine emperors from Land of Origin. The two ancestors? Although my power has weakened now, I still have some standing, Yuan Xiong Palace Master said with a smile. I found them, and they briefly told me about you. In just over 1,000 years, from eternal true God to early stage divine emperor. Another 1,000 years, from early stage divine emperor to late stage divine emperor. Even overpowering Elder Qian He, Yuan Xiong Palace Master looked at Luo Feng. You are much stronger than I was when younger. Luo Feng was secretly astonished. The other party knew all his information. I have no malicious intentions, Yuan Xiong Palace Master said with a smile. The current me is just struggling to survive. The difficulty of breaking through the braided cage with my spiritual will is too high. I don't even know if I have a chance in this life. But I founded Yuan City with my own hands, and I can feel that the infiltration of the low-level primordial life into Yuan City is growing stronger, said Yuan Xiong Palace Master, looking at Luo Feng. I worry that one day Yuan City will be breached. At that time, hundreds of millions of cultivators within will face a terrible calamity. Luo Feng nodded. Where a city is established, it is also natural for it to face destruction. I know Wei Yang's nature. He is extremely selfish, sighed Yuan Xiong Palace Master. He came to Yuan City for the purpose of earning resources. Once the situation turns sour, he will only save himself. This city was built by me, and the hundreds of millions of cultivators who have come here are also my responsibility, said Yuan Xiong Palace Master. I do not wish to see a calamity where hundreds of millions of cultivators perish gruesomely. That's why I invited you here. Luo Feng listened. The core strength of Qianbao Hall is their mastery in artifact refining by Master of Thousand Treasures Hall, who wholeheartedly dedicates himself to artifact refining and is not willing to be distracted by trivial matters. Vice Hall Master Zhuoju is responsible for sales and many other matters. These two elder-level beings lead the Qianbao Hall. In the industry of weapon secret treasures, security is very important, the man in a purple robe lamented. After all, as the number of weapon secret treasures increases, their value becomes extremely high. Whether it's cultivators or low-level primordial life who infiltrate, they always think about seizing them. Luo Feng nodded. For such top-notch large merchants, being robbed once can mean losses calculated in billions of primordial crystals. For people like the Master of Thousand Treasures Hall, it would be extremely painful. Precious secret treasures can be worth tens of millions of primordial crystals. Just 100 of them amounts to a huge fortune, Luo Feng remarked sentimentally. During a theft millions of epochs ago, we lost over 20 billion primordial crystals, the man in purple self-mockingly said. That incident almost cleaned out all of our publicly displayed weapon secret treasures. It severely wounded us, and even to this day, we haven't been able to confirm the real identity of the raiders. What's a theft of a weak cultivator, after all? In Yuan City, real raids target large merchants. With Brother Qianbao and me in Qianbao Hall, and with us two elders and the support of our formation, we were still robbed, unable to even ascertain the identity of the opponents. The man in purple sighed. Actually, from another aspect, it can be deduced that the raiders should be some being ranked among the top 20 in the city. Only overpowering strength can achieve this. This is why we come to invite you, Brother Luo Feng. The man in purple looked at Luo Feng. Brother Luo Feng, you could easily defeat Elder Qian He. In terms of strength, you would definitely rank among the top 100 in Yuan City. With Brother Qianbao and me joining forces, plus the defensive formation of Qianbao Hall, no one in Yuan City could think about raiding us unless 3 palace masters make their move. The power Luo Feng displayed indeed far exceeds that of a common elder. As long as you join our Qianbao Hall, you will naturally become a vice hall master, with a status comparable to mine and Brother Qianbao's. The man in purple said, and each epoch, we can give you 10,000 primordial crystals. 10,000 primordial crystals each epoch, which if over many epochs, would amount to 1 billion primordial crystals. This is also the rather normal income for those at the elder level. They don't need to venture outside the city to continuously have income. Although less than hunting, it's safer and sustainable. Of course. The man in purple continued, joining any side comes with a bonus. We can give a bonus of 200 million primordial crystals. You know, after that previous raid, our loss in Qianbao Hall was quite substantial. Thus, these 200 million primordial crystals need to be paid in 2 installments. One when Brother Luo Feng joins, and another after 10,000 epochs. 200 million primordial crystals as a bonus? And split in 2. Luo Feng looked at him. Generally, the bonus for an elder-level existence is about 200 million. But I am not ordinary. If my strength were less than Elder Qian He, Qianbao Hall wouldn't have come to invite me. It might seem a bit less, the man in purple smiled and said, but Brother Luo Feng, you come from Source World with many avatars. You can completely join several houses. And my Qianbao Hall is also under Wei Yang Palace Master. You know, Yuan Xiong Palace Master was severely injured, and nowadays he almost doesn't make a move anymore. The future of Yuan City will be decided by Wei Yang Palace Master, the man in purple said. By joining Qianbao Hall, you naturally become one of Wei Yang Palace Master's own. Luo Feng nodded. I understand the terms you offered, Brother Shuju. Frankly, they are a bit low compared to other invitations. The man in purple's face slightly changed. Yes, Brother Luo Feng, you have many avatars, please give us a hand or two, and Qianbao Hall will certainly remember this favor. I'll think about it. Luo Feng stood up, signifying the end of the meeting. The man in purple had no choice but to stand and leave. Just deploying an avatar and still fussing over so little. He was quite dissatisfied, but there was nothing he could do, as Qianbao Hall is now rather strapped for funds. Visits from one elder-level being after another, Luo Feng had interactions with each of them. Before meeting with Yuan Xiong Palace Master, Luo Feng indeed prepared, planning to send avatars to join several forces to secure substantial income to support his early phase of cultivation. But ever since receiving the 50 billion primordial crystals gift from Yuan Xiong Palace Master, Luo Feng's thoughts changed. Emperor Qing brother. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing met. These past couple of days, quite a few elder-level beings have come to visit Brother Luo Feng, Emperor Qing said with a smile. 11 houses invited me, help me see which one suits best. Luo Feng waved his hand, and many pieces of information floated in the air, precisely the details of the 11 invitations. Emperor Qing looked up at this information, memorizing it in a glance. Brother Luo Feng, how many houses are you planning to join? Emperor Qing asked. Just one, Luo Feng said. Just one? With so many avatars, shouldn't you earn a bit more? Emperor Qing couldn't help saying, with 11 houses inviting, all offering billions as a one-time payment. If it were him, Emperor Qing, he would definitely choose several. Luo Feng shook his head, just pick one, it can be from the neutral camp or from Yuan Xiong Palace Master's side. Yuan Xiong Palace Master's camp is relatively weak now, said Emperor Qing. Among the 11 families, there are 4 from the neutral camp, and 2 are with Yuan Palace Master. In terms of conditions, Dan Tower offers better ones, and the Changqing building owner also has a good reputation. But choosing Dan Tower, the trouble will be greater, as Dan Tower and Insect Nest have always had conflicts. No pain, no gain, Luo Feng nodded. I also lean towards Dan Tower, so let's go with it. Out of 11 invitations, Luo Feng chose only one, Dan Tower. Emperor Ming, Di Fu. Luo Feng called out. Soon, Emperor Ming and Di Fu arrived promptly. Brother Luo Feng, said Emperor Ming. What is it, any good news? Di Fu smiled. Take a seat. Luo Feng looked at the 3 present. Many factions in Yuan City invited us, and I have decided to choose Dan Tower to take on the role of vice building owner. According to what Changqing building owner said before, I also invite the 3 of you to join. For Dan Tower, as one of the factions, arranging 3 positions for Emperor Qing, Emperor Ming, and Di Fu was easily manageable, which also helped secure Luo Feng better. The 3 of you, willing to join together? Luo Feng asked. Willing, of course willing, Di Fu immediately said. Couldn't ask for more. Emperor Ming also didn't hesitate. To obtain resources without taking risks, who would refuse such a good deal? Emperor Qing was also satisfied. As a mid-stage divine emperor enlightened one, joining a faction would generally mean middle or high-level positions. But those middle and high-level positions are very limited. Who would hire him if not enough trust was there? Because of Luo Feng's relation, Dan Tower also invited all 3 of them. Emperor Qing just needed to arrange an avatar to take up a position, and then he could have a steady income. Since all of you agree, then I'll contact Changqing building owner. Luo Feng nodded. In the weapons secret treasures industry within Yuan City, Master Gai Dao's faction is an absolute overlord, occupying more than half of the market share. But in the alchemy industry, it's fiercely competitive, with no single faction having a particularly large share. Dan Tower is one of the top forces in Yuan City's pharmaceutical industry. Brother Luo Feng, Brother Luo Feng. I finally waited for you, an excited silver-haired elder greeted warmly. So many visited you yesterday, and I was quite uneasy. I was afraid our little Dan Tower couldn't invite you. Today, when I received your message, I was excited all the way until now. Luo Feng, unlike the typical elders. Conservatively speaking, Luo Feng is among the top 100 in strength in Yuan City. Even various factions in Yuan City believe that Luo Feng Divine Emperor might have the strength of the top 50. Such a being? Garrisoning a faction, that would be much more stable. From now on, I will be a member of Dan Tower. Luo Feng smiled. Luo Feng, greetings to the building owner. Brother Luo Feng, don't be so polite, no need for that, the silver-haired elder smiled warmly. The silver-haired elder then sighed, speaking of which, I am also one of the oldest elders who built the city with Yuan Palace Master. But Yuan Palace Master has been contaminated by high-level primordial life and hardly intervenes anymore. We old folks are not having a good time either, especially after the Insect Nest Master came to Yuan City. He has targeted me everywhere. Oh. Luo Feng was surprised. The Insect Nest Master, too, is adept at alchemy techniques, the silver-haired elder disdainfully said. Insect Nest Master can extract some essence of life and turn it into medicine. However, his school is bloody and evil, which I really don't admire. The silver-haired elder sighed. Unfortunately, with the Insect Nest Master being strong and domineering, he resorts to other tricks since he can't compete with me in normal business. Now with Brother Luo He, it's different. The silver-haired elder looked at Luo Feng. Brother Luo He, you can study our Dan Tower's formations. Whatever formation you need to assist you, just speak up. I will buy the suitable formation. Also, here's the agreed remuneration, 500 million primordial crystals. The silver-haired elder took out a cloth bag in a flip of his hand. The one-time payment he offered was obviously on the higher end. This elder, who built the city with Yuan Palace Master, is quite strong in terms of wealth accumulation. This 500 million primordial crystals, building owner should take back. Luo Feng smiled. I plan to convert them all into various auxiliary elixirs within Dan Tower. Oh. The silver-haired elder was delighted upon hearing this. using them all to buy elixirs that could somewhat recoup some of the losses. Even if the 3 palace masters come to buy elixirs, they would also get the lowest 7 parts price. The silver-haired elder looked at Luo Feng. Brother Luo Feng, as my Dan Tower vice building owner, you get the same purchasing price as me, the lowest 6 parts price. Changqing building owner, if taking some elixirs, also has to pay in primordial crystals, even at 6 parts price, this price has almost no profit. But at least, it would convert the accumulated elixirs into an income of 500 million primordial crystals, which pleased Changqing building owner greatly. 6 parts price? Thank you, building owner, Luo Feng expressed his gratitude. You're welcome, the silver-haired elder laughed. By the way, brother Luo Feng, are your 3 hometown old friends willing to come to Dan Tower? They are naturally willing, Luo Feng said. As for what they will do, building owner, please assign them roles based on their abilities. All right, the silver-haired elder's smile grew even brighter. Fellow cultivators from the same source world naturally have an unusual relationship. By securing those 3, it ties up the relationship with Luo Feng to some extent. As relying solely on resources to entice is not quite stable enough. With Luo Feng Divine Emperor here, Dan Tower's business can operate normally, the silver-haired elder thought. The previous days were too stifling. Knowing the conflict between Dan Tower and Insect Nest, there were no elder-level beings willing to join Dan Tower. Until today, they finally waited for Luo Feng. The Dan Tower occupies a vast area. After all, it is the top power in the alchemy industry of Yuan City. While its location isn't as good as Luo Feng's cave mansion, its area is several hundred times larger. There are over 100 large and small pavilions within the Dan Tower, the largest of which is the main pavilion open to the public, and it is also the main pavilion where elixirs are sold. The other pavilions are mostly where the alchemists reside and conduct their alchemy. But at the main pavilion, Luo Feng sensed the formation of the entire grand construct of the Dan Tower with a thought. The Changqing building owner did not obstruct and allowed Luo Feng to perceive the detailed formation of the Dan Tower. The current formation of the Dan Tower is mainly suitable for me, Changqing building owner said. Brother Luo Feng, take a look and see how to arrange a formation that suits you. As for the materials you need to purchase for the formation, just mention them, there's no need to be frugal. Fixed arrays generally have much greater power than movable arrays. Luo Feng studied for a moment and then communicated a list of materials for setting up the formation to Changqing building owner. Lord, the list of formation materials is estimated to cost around 30 million primordial crystals, Luo Feng said. Very good, Changqing building owner showed a happy expression. I was afraid it wouldn't be expensive enough. I will immediately arrange an avatar to purchase the materials. Luo Feng was quite satisfied with Changqing building owner's character. One reason he chose the Dan Tower was because of Changqing building owner's good reputation. Before long, Changqing building owner had bought the formation materials back. Brother Luo Feng, it's up to you, Changqing building owner handed the formation materials to Luo Feng. Luo Feng looked at the formation materials and nodded slightly. With his experience and vision, he could design the most suitable fixed array for himself. This fixed array consists of a total of 36 formations in coordination. As they are all fixed arrays, on average the cost of each formation is nearly 1 million primordial crystals. Boom .. Above the Dan Tower's building complex center, Luo Feng floated, controlling numerous formation materials and began setting them up one by one. Setting up a formation is akin to constructing a spaceship. Like a spaceship, there are systems that stabilize the body, those responsible for speed, for power, for scouting. Only when various systems work together does it make a spaceship. Luo Feng's array setup was much more complicated. The formations he purchased pushed the limits of life and death combinations in Yuan City and even exceeded his current control limit. These 36 different formations all involve the mysteries of the half-primordial level. And as each cultivator's understanding of the half-primordial life path is different, it makes it even harder for Luo Feng. With his current strength, he could only exert 3 to 4/10 of the array's potential power. Done. It took Luo Feng half a day to complete the array without any negligence. But with a thought from Luo Feng, His consciousness instantly permeated the entire grand array, which naturally started operating. Invisible fluctuations spread around the Dan Tower, with all its might converging. Although this fixed formation only exerts a small part of its power, it is still much more powerful than my Xianqing Sky Annihilation map. It even has a greater increase in power than the Undying Heart, Luo Feng marveled inwardly. This is the advantage of a fixed formation. After setting up the array, Luo Feng flew back to the main pavilion. Brother Luo Feng, you've worked hard, Changqing building owner had been watching from the side. It's a minor matter, and since I'll be stationed here long term, the stronger the formation, the safer the Dan Tower will be, Luo Feng said with a smile. By the way, Lord, I'm looking to purchase a large batch of low-level primordial life materials. It's quite a large scale. Who do you think is suitable to buy from? Quite a large scale. Changqing building owner asked, how much? At least over 2 billion primordial crystals, said Luo Feng. Changqing building owner was somewhat surprised. According to intelligence, Luo Feng hadn't been in Yuan City for long, and logically he shouldn't have accumulated much wealth. But 2 billion primordial crystals. Even for some of the elders who have been accumulating for a long time, it would be difficult to come up with this amount at one time. This is a big deal, Changqing building owner thought for a moment. In Yuan City, there are 13 houses dealing in low-level primordial life materials. In my opinion, Elder Xingyi is the best choice for such a scale of business. Elder Xingyi, who has an excellent reputation, can be trusted not just with transactions of 2 billion primordial crystals, but even tenfold that amount, said Changqing building owner. This Elder Xingyi is quite significant as the direct disciple of an invincible existence in the dark sacred realm. An invincible existence in the dark sacred realm? Luo Feng was astonished. The dark sacred realm, where many elite cultivators from countless worlds converge, who dares to call themselves invincible there? Changqing building owners' eyes showed envy. Even the most dazzling and talented become mediocre there. To be a member of the pinnacle level in the dark sacred realm is already an incredible feat. As for being invincible, it remains a legend, and just hoping to catch a glimpse is wishful thinking. Luo Feng held his breath. Invincible in the dark sacred realm? Elder Xingyi is such a disciple of this caliber, Changqing building owner continued. His business dealings are absolutely honest. All right, Luo Feng had previously sold the Blood Demon Elisai corpse to Elder Xingyi's shop, which offered a high price, and Luo Feng also obtained Elder Xingyi's communication imprint. Luo Feng's cave mansion. Bus. Luo Feng contacted Elder Xingyi and sent over a purchase list. The space in front of him twisted and then a figure appeared. He had a body like a tree with branches growing all over his surface. His face was dotted with green blossoms, and he wore a radiant smile. Brother Luo Feng, you want to purchase so many materials? Elder Xingyi was somewhat astonished. I think, instead of buying those various small pieces of material, you don't need to purchase low-level primordial life bloodlines separately. Please, Elder Xingyi, purchase the materials based on the shopping list. Luo Feng said. Sure. Elder Xingyi smiled and said, this is quite a big deal, you know, the prices for various materials from low-level primordial life are very clear. Luo Feng nodded. He had sold many corpses of low-level primordial life before and was clear about the other party's costs. This is the lowest price I can offer. Elder Xingyi sent over a price list. Upon reviewing it, Luo Feng was quite pleased. Elder Xingyi was indeed generous. Let's settle on this then. Luo Feng said. Good. Elder Xingyi showed delight upon hearing this. The materials you are purchasing are quite rare. Even if all 35 cities of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm were to gather them, it would still be troublesome. I will send some materials from the Dark Sacred Realm. I estimate that in 3 days, we can make the trade. Do I need to pay a deposit? Luo Feng asked. No need. Elder Xingyi didn't care. In 3 days, I will come to your cave mansion. Good, then we'll do as Elder Xingyi has said. Luo Feng nodded. 3 days later. Elder Xingyi arrived at Luo Feng's cave mansion. Elder Xingyi wore a loose robe, underneath which a body like tree bark was revealed, and his head even had some branches and leaves growing. his smile brimmed with endless vitality, instinctually endearing him to Luo Feng. "Brother Luo Feng, please take a look." Elder Xingyi took out a space bracelet for Luo Feng to inspect. Luo Feng checked with a thought. Many materials from low-level primordial life, along with several intact primordial bloodlines. Each bloodline was preserved with great care. Luo Feng sensed these bloodlines and confirmed their levels, understanding their basic mysteries. Correct. Luo Feng also took out a cloth bag, 2.83 billion primordial crystals. This was Luo Feng's most extravagant purchase to date. Brother Luo Feng, if you want to buy superlimit bloodlines in the future, you can also come to me anytime. Elder Xingyi laughed. "What the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm doesn't have, I can help you procure from the Dark Sacred Realm." "That's really too expensive, maybe in the future," Luo Feng remarked. After obtaining that 5 billion primordial crystals from Yuan Xiong Palace Master, Luo Feng could start wealthy purchasing methods, but he couldn't just buy anything he desired. He still needed to pursue cost performance and efficiency. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Luo Feng made a purchase from Elder Xingyi, then bought various auxiliary cultivation medicines worth 500 million primordial crystals from Dan Tower, and carefully prepared some gifts for his mentor Emperor Chu, Mountain Sitting Guest, Primal Chaos City Lord, and others before quietly leaving Yulon City. Carrying such precious items, Luo Feng naturally brought along the Undying Heart, Palm World, and discreetly left Yulon City. Luo Feng once again returned to the land of origin. Inside Star Tower. Boom tilde tilde tilde. All the materials and items purchased were laid out. Luo Feng opened the Eye of Life and Death from his forehead, and under its observation, comparable to high-level primordial life, the deep mysteries of these materials and each bloodline can be scrutinized. This is an early-stage Divine Emperor offspring from the low-level primordial life, Nirvana Fire Tribulation Snake Clan. Luo Feng looked at the 15 types of fragmented materials laid out in front of him. There were teeth, scales, bones, membranes. I have contemplated it for a long time, and with the Eye of Life and Death, I've thoroughly studied these 15 kinds of materials. I've already completed the various mysteries of an early-stage Nirvana Fire Tribulation Snake Clan Divine Emperor in my mind. Luo Feng turned to look at the jade stone holding the complete bloodline burning with a black flame. This is a refined complete bloodline of an early-stage Divine Emperor from the Nirvana Fire Tribulation Snake Clan. A complete bloodline contains all the mysteries. Luo Feng was quite expectant. Now let's see how much difference there is between the mysteries I've completed in my mind and the complete bloodline. In the past, he used the poverty purchasing method, getting bits and pieces and comprehending the mysteries from them, eventually completing them in mind to form a whole. Buzz. Luo Feng's Eye of Life and Death observed the bloodline burning with black flame. HM? Luo Feng was slightly startled. The mysteries I've completed in my mind are too crude. This is natural perfection. Luo Feng learned a great deal. He observed more than a dozen fragmented materials with the Eye of Life and Death, studying them in depth and completing them in his mind. It was like solving a problem. And a complete bloodline was the perfect answer, naturally born in the vast primordial space. After finishing the problems and comparing them with the answer, Luo Feng understood the gap. Life and destruction can be combined like this? I've learned something. Luo Feng was delighted, carefully experiencing these methods of combining the mysteries. It seemed just a complete bloodline of early-stage God Emperor level low-level primordial life, but for Luo Feng at this moment, the gains were still immense. After all, these beings were born to break out of their confines. The Eye of Life and Death on Luo Feng's brow opened. This complete bloodline burning with black flames appeared multi-layered in his observation, with countless secret patterns interwoven in each layer. Ultimately, these layers fused perfectly into a whole, forming a bloodline that was born to leap beyond the braided cage. Such an integration, and it can leap out of the braided cage. Luo Feng was dazzled. Merely a low-level primordial bloodline of the early-stage Divine Emperor had revealed the secret to leaping beyond the braided cage before Luo Feng's eyes. The supplemental schemes I conceived before are full of flaws. Back on Earth, my homeland often said, learn from the nature of heaven and earth. Now as I comprehend the primordial biological bloodline nurtured by nature, it seems like another form of learning from heaven and earth. Luo Feng's heart was devout. Let alone the complete fusion of life and death, even just the integration methods are varied. I need to refine them one by one. Luo Feng immersed himself in it. The first integration method. The second integration method. The complete refinement of each method was immensely difficult. It required understanding the essence of their bonding from countless secret patterns before ultimately distilling a universally applicable integration method. During his comprehension, Luo Feng also consumed auxiliary cultivation treasures that significantly enhanced his speed of cognitive processes. After all, for a divine emperor-level mind, delving into the mysteries of leaping beyond the braided cage was still quite strenuous. Even then, it took Luo Feng more than one epoch to fully comprehend the Nirvana Fire Tribulation Snake bloodline of the early-stage Divine Emperor. Although I distilled numerous life and death integration methods, I still lacked the fundamental perfect union. Luo Feng thought to himself, countless integration methods must achieve perfect union to truly leap beyond the braided cage. This is the weakest life form to leap beyond the braided cage. Luo Feng sighed inwardly, I can't even grasp its essence. Among the innate primordial lives, the early-stage Divine Emperor level is indeed the weakest. This one bloodline has already taught me so much. Luo Feng was quite content. From merely the weakest bloodline, he had managed to distill a full 19 life and death integration methods. If these integration methods were applied to his life and death Tao, his strength would naturally see significant improvement. No rush to fuse them into the life and death Tao, let me accumulate first. The second bloodline, the Ghost Hunter bloodline of the early-stage Divine Emperor, I had previously supplemented its fragmented materials according to 12 disconnected schemes, but those schemes were noticeably flawed. Luo Feng pondered. Using the newly comprehended 19 life and death integration methods as a basis, Luo Feng began revising and supplementing. It took him a full 1,000,000 days before Luo Feng was satisfied with the newly completed scheme. Only then did he begin examining the early-stage Divine Emperor, Ghost Hunter bloodline, with his eye of life and death. About 60 to 70% similarity. Luo Feng's face lit up with joy. Compared to the crudeness and flaws of the first bloodline supplementation, the second bloodline supplementation already showed the embryonic form of a perfect answer. The direction is right. Luo Feng grew more and more encouraged, scrutinizing the Ghost Hunter bloodline in deeper detail. With an ample supply of cultivation resources, Luo Feng felt himself making constant progress. At this moment, the only factor hampering his cultivation speed was his own rate of comprehension. Even a Divine Emperor-level thought process seemed insufficiently fast. If it were a high-level primordial life, their comprehension speed might be tens of thousands of times faster than his. Take it slow. If the speed is slow, simply spend more time. At this moment, Luo Feng felt an increasing sense of gratitude toward Yuan Xiong Palace Master, whose 50 billion primordial crystals were proving immensely helpful. Perhaps Yuan Xiong Palace Master had carefully considered this before gifting such a fortune. This sum was more than enough for a Divine Emperor to achieve a wealthy cultivation, provided there were no extravagant expenditures. Luo Feng's gaze swept over the bloodlines arranged nearby. Early-stage Divine Emperor bloodlines totaled 323. Middle-stage Divine Emperor bloodlines totaled 257. Late-stage Divine Emperor bloodlines totaled 152. Though these first three types appeared abundant, Luo Feng's wealth allowed him to afford them with ease. They cost a total of 8.3 billion primordial crystals. 36 perfection-level Divine Emperor bloodlines were purchased, costing 19.2 billion primordial crystals. These bloodlines were Luo Feng's greatest focus, as they represented low-level primordial lives who had pushed their own bloodlines to their ultimate limits, vividly showcasing the mysteries of bloodlines. Given the rarity of low-level primordial lives embodying both life and death at the Divine Emperor perfection level in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, these bloodlines were scarce. Elder Xingyi specifically sourced and delivered a batch from the Dark Sacred Realm. Each bloodline was accompanied by over 10 sets of matching materials. This time, Luo Feng also bought some missing materials, spending a hefty sum. Including the bloodlines, the total expenditure reached 28.3 billion primordial crystals. This was still significantly discounted by Elder Xingyi. Fortunately, a low-level primordial life corpse can yield a significant number of bloodlines, and the price remains within an acceptable range. Luo Feng thought. On the land of origin, those primordial bloodline creatures cultivated by the two nations' ancestors were far from entities capable of leaping beyond the braided cage. In aspects such as vitality, they remained markedly inferior. Moreover, the nation's ancestor-level bloodline refinement techniques were quite rudimentary, often extracting only a few bloodlines from a single creature. But in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, the utilization of a low-level primordial life corpse was pushed to its limits. Any waste equated to losing primordial crystals. Simply extracting blood from the entire body could yield 10 or more complete bloodlines. Significant skeletal structures, hooves, and claws could further be utilized for artifact refining, alchemy, or even puppet crafting. Whether in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm or the Dark Sacred Realm, there are too many strong entities, and the competition for trade is brutally fierce. Every technique is refined to near perfection. The largest cost of selling various treasures is the material cost. Luo Feng reflected to himself. A weapon at the Divine Emperor perfection level, if it was a common piece requiring less material, could be purchased for merely 1 million primordial crystals. A more complex Divine Emperor perfection level battleship might cost 2 to 3 million primordial crystals. It's only the large-scale, movable formations priced typically above 5 million primordial crystals. In the Dark Sacred Realm, half-primordial level enlightened ones are numerous. Such weapon secret treasures rarely fetch exorbitant prices. Luo Feng thought. Truly rare items, such as those exchanged from the Infinite Space Treasure Vault, like the Undying Heart, were exceptionally precious. The materials of world-level primordial lives couldn't be hunted, and each piece was tremendously expensive. As for treasures exchanged from infinite space valued over 10,000 reward points, they were always aids for leaping beyond the braided cage, like the Eye of Life and Death. The quantity refined by Senior Yuan and others was strictly limited, each one was priceless and even prohibited from being taken out of the source world. If a cultivator died, such treasures would always be reclaimed by infinite space. For example, the Eye of Life and Death had already passed through the hands of many previous users. Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, Yuan City. Within a grand cave mansion, a massive spherical creature was coiled. The surface of the spherical creature intermittently manifested faces, resentful, frenzied, slumbering, laughing, indifferent. Various expressions emanated their influences over the surrounding area. Although low-level primordial lives often infiltrated the city, no intruder had ever dared to approach this colossal lair. This was the insect nest? A peculiar and eerie life form, its mere existence rivaled the power of 3 Hall Masters. The insect nest surface was riddled with countless holes, with cultivators frequently flying in and out. At the core of the insect nest, Master, over the past epoch, our elixir sales have dropped by nearly half. An elderly man spoke respectfully. How could sales decline so drastically? A graceful and beautiful woman sat there, mildly surprised. Through her long cultivation journey, her resources came from multiple sources, including the operations, thefts, and raids conducted across her insect nest sphere of influence. Naturally, all income retained a share for the insect nest master. Merely elixir sales, for just an epoch, were inconsequential to her. But if this trend persisted, it would be frustrating. The Dan Tower has massively increased output during the last epoch. Their elixirs of the same tier are slightly cheaper than ours. Some factions in the city have directly shifted to bulk purchases from the Dan Tower, causing our sales to drop. The elder reported. Changqing building owner is this bold. The woman was astonished. Who gave him such courage? During your closed-door cultivation, Yuan City welcomed a newly ascended elder-level powerhouse named Luo Feng. He's already joined the Dan Tower. The elder informed. The woman nodded faintly, then began reviewing the latest intelligence on Yuan City. After reading through the reports, she understood the situation. A newly ascended powerhouse, capable of suppressing Tian He. Her gaze turned cold. Though aware of the conflict between Dan Tower and me, he dares to meddle. Simply continue normal sales, other matters don't concern you. She instructed. You may leave. Understood. The elder obeyed and retreated. The woman sat quietly, gazing toward the direction of the Dan Tower. The city isn't suitable for open action. Let the spiritual avatar meet this Luo Feng divine emperor. She remained seated, yet from the vast insect nest, an imperceptible stream of spiritual power emerged. Once the spiritual stream left, the surface of the insect nest regained its calm, no longer manifesting faces. HMPH. The spiritual power condensed into the woman's likeness, moving through Yuan City's skies. In her ordinary state, she remained undetectable to others. Yuan City's multicolored layers of defense systems swept over the woman's avatar. It's the insect nest master? Why would she dispatch a spiritual avatar? Among the 3 elder-controlled defense systems, her presence was noted, but they refrained from intervention. After all, the insect nest master was an elder of Yuan City, and her avatar's activity within the city was entirely legitimate. Arrived. In mere moments, the insect nest master's spiritual avatar reached the entrance of the Dan Tower. She raised her head to observe the sprawling complex. Within the Dan Tower complex resided 2 elder-level individuals, the Changqing building owner and, naturally, Luo Feng. Luo Feng was currently attuned to the formations he'd deployed across the Dan Tower. These 36 layers of life and death formations were refined by various senior cultivators who each possess unique achievements in the art of life and death integration. Luo Feng considered. Previously, some aspects eluded me. But after comprehending primordial bloodlines, I now understand them better. Luo Feng reflected. Some elements within these formations even appear clunky and rudimentary. Though these seniors had other opportunities, none possessed the eye of life and death. Even if they bought primordial bloodlines, they couldn't observe their complete structure, they could only view fragments and infer from them. Luo Feng abruptly sensed an eerie and chilling pulse, faint yet dauntingly terrifying through mere contact. His Lai Yuan technique, constantly active, automatically shielded against the cold intrusion. Who's there? With a single thought, Luo Feng increased the power of the 36 formation layers while also activating his biomimetic destruction eye. He then spotted a spiritual womanly figure standing at the entrance of the Dan Tower's main building. Special thanks to Book Friend 202410080725268081 and I Lingxin for the support as new Alliance hierarchs. Also, thanks to the old Alliance leader Lao Ke for repeated generosity. The biomimetic eye of destruction on Luo Feng's brow could see the figure of the spiritual woman, yet he could not recognize her. This was because the insect nest master's true body and spiritual avatar had distinctly different appearances and auras. The insect nest master? Changqing building owner, relying on the Dan Tower formation, managed to glimpse the figure of this spiritual woman. His expression changed abruptly upon sighting her. He had had far too many dealings with the insect nest master and had even encountered her spiritual avatar before. Changqing. The spiritual woman stood there, coldly looking at the Changqing building owner, her spiritual fluctuations transmitting. Just because this divine emperor Luo Feng joined your Dan Tower, you think you can ignore me? Expanding your business at will. I'm not expanding at will, it's just normal competition, replied the Changqing building owner. My prices remain the same as before, I've merely started offering stable supplies. My prices for elixirs of the same tier have always been lower than those of your insect nest, so naturally, the parties in Yuan City prefer to buy from me. Heh. The spiritual woman looked at the Changqing building owner and laughed, a wanton laugh. In front of me, do you think you have the right to compete normally? Changqing building owner felt a heavy pressure in his heart. It seems I've been too lenient with you for too long, the spiritual woman sighed. That's my mercy at fault. Insect Nest Master, you and I are both cultivators from the source world, and we both possess avatars, the Changqing building owner said angrily. You cannot truly harm me, So why must you bully me? Every time I see you, I'll trample over you. What can you do about it? The spiritual woman sneered coldly, her gaze shifting to Luo Feng in the not-too-distant area. And this must be Divine Emperor Luo Feng? Are you certain you want to meddle in the matters between me and the Changqing building owner? You'd better think it through. If you get involved, expect to pay the price. The spiritual woman stared at Luo Feng. I've already taken the reward from the building owner, Luo Feng said calmly. I am now the vice building owner of Dan Tower. I have no intention of making an enemy of the insect nest, but regardless, I must safeguard Dan Tower. I see. The spiritual woman nodded. Her eyes suddenly turned pitch black as she spoke in a deep voice. I'd like to see what kind of strength you have to act so insolently in front of me. Brother Luo Feng, be careful. This is her spiritual avatar, adept at spiritual pollution, the Changqing building owner transmitted through voice communication. I know. Luo Feng had already anticipated facing the insect nest master when he accepted the Changqing building owner's invitation. The information about the insect nest master was no secret in Yuan City. The insect nest master, even when she was weak, endured intense spiritual pollution. After reaching the late stage of the Divine Emperor in the Enlightened One lineage, she seemed unable to achieve perfection, likely because the pollution was too severe. As such, she switched to cultivating the bloodline system, using all her accumulations in the dark sacred realm to exchange for a high-level primordial bloodline, the Infinite Cicada II bloodline. This bloodline actually thrived on spiritual pollution. The more severe the pollution she endured while maintaining a sliver of clarity, the stronger the power of her bloodline grew. It was said that if her spiritual will could break free from the braided cage and she accumulated enough spiritual pollution, she could fully unleash the true power of the Infinite Cicada Tomb, triggering the ultimate awakening of her bloodline and ascending as a high-level primordial life. This time, she has come as a spiritual avatar, so her methods are purely spiritual, Luo Feng thought. In the dark sacred realm, she has done everything she can to enhance her spiritual pollution. With the Infinite Cicada II bloodline, she can still maintain clarity. However, when her pollution touches other half-primordial level experts, even if they can resist, they would require a long time and great effort to gradually purge themselves of the pollution. Even among the elders, with their spiritual wills reaching the half-primordial level, many were deeply apprehensive of the insect nest master. But Luo Feng had no fear. The undying heart inherently resists spiritual erosion. Moreover, I carry the secret technique left by Senior Yuan, the Lai Yuan technique. With these dual methods, why should I fear her pollution? That would be the joke of the ages. Luo Feng mused. Luo Feng. The spiritual woman grinned at Luo Feng, her smile widening. Whoosh! The spiritual woman appeared before Luo Feng and gently embraced him. This was the power of the spirit, transcending the concept of speed. In one thought, she had already ensnared him, her ethereal form covered by distorted, maddened faces. The moment Luo Feng was embraced, everything around him vanished. In that instant, Luo Feng saw a massive, illusory insect nest towering before him, imprisoning countless consciousnesses. The faces of these trapped consciousnesses writhed and struggled. The illusory insect nest also began corroding Luo Feng. How many cultivators have you killed? And not just killed but actively devoured their souls, forcing them to become part of you. As he was invaded, Luo Feng instantly grasped the insect nest master's methods. This insect nest master, by choice, had absorbed countless souls, not annihilating them but integrating them into her insect nest, where their consciousnesses would remain forever trapped. Though she appeared to be a single cultivator, the insect nest master actually contained the consciousnesses of billions of creatures. But her dominant consciousness was the ruler. The rest were mere sustenance. I carry the pollution alone. How much could I possibly endure alone? So, I let them bear it with me, to share the burden. This is what I call the power of the collective. Ha ha ha. Luo Feng now experienced the pollution I endured during my infinite nightmare. The voice of the insect nest master reverberated, and her corruption spread. This was precisely why many elders avoided her at all costs. Her pollution, born by billions of consciousnesses, was far worse than simply eliminating a few avatars. What's this? The insect nest master was taken aback. She tried every tactic she knew for several breaths' time but failed to find even the smallest flaw or crack, unable to corrupt Luo Feng in the slightest. Insect nest master, even if you persist with your cultivation, devouring the souls of countless cultivators and leaving them in eternal torment, scum like you should have died long ago, Luo Feng spoke with murderous intent. At that moment, Luo Feng resented nothing more than his current lack of strength. After all, the insect nest master hailed from the source world and possessed multiple avatars, making her incredibly difficult to truly kill. No wonder you dared to aid the Changqing building owner. So you have a way to resist spiritual corruption. I came merely as a spiritual avatar to warn you this time, but next time, I'll bring my true body, sneered the insect nest master, aware she could do nothing to Luo Feng. You, warning me? You pathetic scum. Lai Yuan technique. Without mercy, Luo Feng struck. Eclipsing into divine emperor perfection in spiritual will long ago, Luo Feng had recently gained a faint insight into breaking free from the braided cage while studying the Primordial Bloodline, achieving an almost flawless union, a synergy of all mysteries. His understanding of the Lai Yuan technique deepened, infusing it with the essence of natural perfection. Annihilation. With his spiritual will pushing the limits below the braided cage, and his newfound insight breathing life into the Lai Yuan technique, Luo Feng unleashed his strike. A small, slowly rolling miniature star appeared within the sight of the insect nest master. This star was far smaller and more ordinary than before, yet it represented a spirit more condensed, its aura perfectly restrained. Boom! The insect nest master's spiritual avatar could not escape upon witnessing this rolling miniature star. A spiritual technique? The insect nest master's spiritual avatar felt indifferent, having engaged in innumerable battles of the mind. Why fear Luo Feng's mental attack? Boom! That miniature star struck the spiritual avatar of the insect nest master, transforming her feminine form into a massive illusory insect nest, her most stable form. Yet even in this form, the illusory insect nest was torn apart, pierced through, and crushed by the star. Impossible. The insect nest master was incredulous. The mental star Luo Feng unleashed was so small, so plain, yet impervious to resistance. At that moment, the insect nest master realized the star carried a faint essence of natural perfection, reminiscent of her infinite cicada tomb bloodline. He must have inherited the secret techniques left by Senior Jin and the others, she thought in agony. Her disrupted illusory insect nest imploded, shattering millions of fused souls within. For those souls, destruction brought not despair but liberation, their final moments marked by serene smiles, signaling the collapse of the nest's carefully maintained corrupt equilibrium. Not good. My spiritual avatar's damage has unhinged the pollution. I must retreat at once. Taking the strike, the insect nest master's spiritual avatar soared away, vanishing toward her lair. Luo Feng. You've caught me off guard with your formidable spiritual technique today, but I'll reclaim this loss. Her escaping spiritual avatar's voice boomed around Luo Feng and the Changqing building owner before fading into silence. As a purely spiritual being, her speed, both in attack and retreat, far surpassed any physical form. Luo Feng could only manage one Lai Yuan technique strike before she vanished into the void out of reach. Pure spiritual avatars escape so quickly, Luo Feng remarked. Beside him, the Changqing building owner stared in astonishment. You defeated the insect nest master? The building owner could hardly believe it. He had only invited Luo Feng to hold the fort with the support of the fixed array, not expecting the defeat of the insect nest master. Who was the insect nest master? Beneath the three hall masters of Yuan City, there were figures like the insect nest master, master of deceit workshop, and elder Xingyi. Their strength was qualitatively different from ordinary elders. Ordinary elders might reach the late-stage divine emperor through a single path. But the likes of the insect nest master and master of deceit workshop had strength equivalent to mastering two paths at the late divine emperor stage. I only defeated her spiritual avatar, nothing more, Luo Feng said seriously. He understood clearly that if the insect nest master brought her true body, equipped with multiple secret treasures, the danger would be far greater than that posed by a mere spiritual avatar. Damn Luo Feng. Inside her vast insect nest, the returning spiritual avatar of the insect nest master was in immense pain. Luo Feng had no idea just how much trouble his Yuan technique strike had caused her. This was far worse than losing several avatars. The pollution is out of control. I must stabilize it, stabilize it. She could no longer afford thoughts of retaliation or concern herself with the outside world. This episode is end here.